Order, and can we all stand for the Pledge of Allegiance?
Pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
All right, Tabitha, will you do the roll call?
Ms. Manning has an excused absence. Mr. Boger.
Here.
Mr. Haynes has an excused absence. Mr. Goldberg.
Here.
Mr. Jackson.
Here.
Mr. Talon has an excused absence. And Mr. Cole.
Yes, here.
Thank you.
All right, do we have the minutes?
Minutes are in the packet.
They're in the packet, all right. So based on our second page of minutes, do I have a motion to approve the minutes?
Yes.
I have a second. All right,
Need to take a vote.
To approve as written. Mr. Boger.
Yes.
Mr. Goldberg.
Yes.
Mr. Jackson.
yes.
Mr. Cole.
Yes.
All right, next is disclosure of any conflicts.
No, but I did go see the site.
As well.
I was at the site as well.
I did not visit the site, no disclosure of conflicts.
Okay, and are you going to announce that there are only 4 members?
I was gonna do
Here.
that at the new business, but I can do that now if that's better.
Yeah, because the swearing in witnesses, we wouldn't
Fair
do it
enough.
if they wanted an extension.
So unfortunately for the applicant tonight, we only have 4 sitting members. And so with the vote, it would require a unanimous yes or approval for the case to be approved. But you have the option to delay to a date certain, which would be April 19th if you prefer. You want to go with tonight? Excellent. All right, and then we are swearing in witnesses.
Oh, okay. Could you swear? the witness?
Oh, sorry about
Okay, I
that.
didn't know if we're the script or not. That's fine.
Yeah, we're going to do the script. Okay. This is a public hearing for a review of a request for a variance. Any individual, including the applicant, staff, witnesses, or members of the public who plan to speak or offer testimony during the public hearing, please rise and be sworn in by the clerk.
Please raise your right hand. Do you swear or affirm to tell the truth, the whole truth, and nothing but the truth in this proceeding? You are sworn.
Okay, a variance is quasi-judicial in nature, which requires a public hearing to comply with procedural requirements established in Florida law. Quasi-judicial proceedings are less formal than proceedings before a circuit court, but are more formal than some other types of meetings and must follow basic standards of notice and due process. Decisions must be made based on competent, substantial evidence. Please note that only competent, substantial, fact-based testimony or evidence will be considered by the board in its deliberation and voting on this item. Pure speculation or mere opinion not based on competent facts cannot be legally considered by the board in weighing the appropriateness of the variance. Lay testimony with fact-based support may be considered competent and substantial evidence. If you intend to speak, please keep this in mind. When you come forward, please state your name clearly for the record, whether or not you've been sworn in and your qualifications or interest in the matter. Madam Clerk, has this item been properly advertised?
Yes, this item was properly advertised and the record includes documentation to that effect.
Okay. And we've already done the conflict of interest issues. Could each of you state whether you've had any ex parte communications or been to the site?
Well, as we stated before, I've been to the site, but no communications.
Okay.
Neither the site or any ex parte communications.
Been to the site, no communications.
Same. No communication's been to the site.
Okay, very good. All right, would the staff please proceed?
All right, good evening. My name is Christy Anderson. I'm the principal planner. We have one variance request this evening. It's located at 105 East Pasco Lane. This is an aerial of the property. It is located in the RS1 Single Family Residential Zoning District and has a low density residential future land use. This aerial depicts the old single family residence that used to be on the site. Currently, property, they are constructing a new residence there. So this specific variance request is to the Cocoa Beach Land Development Code, section 309Q4, to allow a driveway to be constructed with an opening of 30 feet rather than the required maximum of 20 feet. Residential driveway openings per code shall have a minimum width of 10 feet and a maximum width of 20 feet, measured at the front property line. The applicant is proposing to construct a residential driveway with 2 openings. So one of those circular type driveways. All proposed driveway dimensions will meet the current codes with the exception of the 30-foot driveway opening. The applicant is requesting 10 additional feet along the west side driveway opening to accommodate for a larger recreational vehicle. The owners purchased the property in 2021 according to the Brevard County Property Appraiser's records. A new 4,500 square foot single family residence approximately is currently under construction. The previous 2,400 square foot home was demolished in June of 2022. The previous single family residence, we don't have an exact date of construction, however permit records go back to the late 70s. The lot is located on the corner of North Atlantic Avenue and East Pasco Lane, is approximately 120 feet wide and 120 feet deep. The driveway will be accessed off of East Pasco Lane. This is a copy of the property survey showing the footprint of the proposed new residence. This is the proposed concept drawing. So all of the driveway dimensions shown on the plan do meet the required codes aside from that 30-foot driveway opening. I do want to note that the sketch may not be to scale. As you see, they both look similar, but all of the measurements are correct. So the 30-foot side setback, 35-foot setback from the driveway to the side property line is the accurate measurement. We do require all of the driveway aprons have 3-foot flares. So at the roadway connection, it will be a maximum opening of 36 feet. Here's some photographs of the current home provided by the applicant. And always your criteria for approval of a variance, and if you have any questions for staff, I'll be happy to
Could you go
address.
back to the picture of the property? That one, yeah.
Yep.
So there's a fence that borders Atlantic Avenue back there, right? You see that white fence? It does come up parallel to the Atlantic. Is that the property line?
The one in the rear, the white.
Yeah,
picket
white.
fence-
There's also a fence that comes at you from there.
Oh, I see. It appears that likely is where the property line is according to the survey, because it looks like it's set back off that sidewalk a
So
few
the
feet.
driveway with the extension would not exceed that property line.
No,
They can't keep
No, it would-
closed by code.
the driveway,
Because right now it's way beyond that.
I guess what he's asking is it, right now it extends out pretty much onto A1A.
oh, yes, the old driveway opening, yes. For whatever reason, we have quite a few of those on those old corner lots where the driveway goes to the corner of the property
Yeah.
directly into the intersection. So completely out of compliance with current code, very dangerous. So, yes, it would be relocated to
What if they didn't relocate?
They
They
would,
have to?
they would be required because the whole site has been, gone beyond 50% of cost of construction, so everything has to come into current code, including fences, driveways, everything on the site, so.
I was just really concerned about vision impediment.
Oh yeah, this new design would be outside of that safe site triangle by quite a bit. Probably
It
almost
looks
10
like what
feet.
they're asking for doesn't really extend beyond the west side of the property. Or
Correct.
much, I mean, it does. As far as the building, not the property line.
Well, no, I was just concerned about that because, you know, it's a lot easier to see the vision picture rather than this drawing about what's really
Right.
happening.
Yeah, that's probably the footprint of the old driveway that got demoed, so,
Okay, so that'll be probably taken off then when they complete it.
yes. Likely that'll be sod.
Does that apply, the driveway has to be concrete, or could it be a rock driveway and that, the rules don't apply?
The apron that's located in the right-of-way portion is required to meet, the construction standards, so it has to have, density requirements, so it has to be made out of concrete or pavers or a combination of both. The driveway that's on the private property side, that's outside of the right-of-way, we do not regulate, whether or not it has to be concrete or pavers or gravel. So.
If per se they did a gravel driveway, there's no rule about, it could still be 30 feet? Or does that change?
No, it's the driveway opening itself. So you would still have the hardened driveway apron
Right.
with the roadway connection connecting to that front property line. So the driveway apron itself could not exceed that 20 feet.
Gotcha.
So is the request really for being able to turn into the driveway, is that the reason?
I believe, I think the applicant can provide a little bit more additional information about how the RV.
And then the second
is-
question, where will it be stored when it's on the property?
I believe the applicant can probably clarify
Okay.
on that, but looking at that garage, I have a feeling maybe
Yeah,
it was made for that, I don't know.
Either a big boat.
Sure.
Pretty good clue there.
If I can go back for further clarification, I understand the apron part of it needs to be concrete,
Yes,
but the part from the property to the house, that could be gravel, and in theory, it could be 30 feet, but the apron itself could only be 26 feet.
correct, so the code requires this measurement right here. So once you go past that front property line, it could be gravel, but as far as that opening to where the traffic is gonna be in and out, we're still gonna have that required 20-foot maximum.
Right, but the apron gets to be 26 feet. You said 3 feet flaring?
Correct.
So it'd be 26 at the
Roadway.
at Pasco, and then
Correct.
theoretically 20.
Yes.
Are there any restrictions on putting in something that lines the driveway on either side that goes beyond the 26 at the roadway and 20 at the property line? Like a pervious stone walkway beside it, or gravel or something like that?
I still don't think that's gonna provide you with additional opening.
Yeah.
So, cause we're not gonna allow the gravel or anything in the right-of-way portion. I mean, and they do.
Oh, beyond the property line to
Correct.
the street,
Yeah,
gotcha.
and you can see we do allow you to, flare the driveway back out, so you don't have to maintain that 20 feet, but, yeah, I'm not sure how adding the gravel on one side or the other is gonna change that opening measurement.
Mhm.
Cause it's still gonna be the opening, whether it's gravel or it's
Or
concrete.
concrete. Gotcha.
Does our approval affect water retention at all?
I believe that the driveway, is permitted separately from the house. However, I believe when the house, plans were submitted, this driveway, the stormwater calculations were accommodating this driveway. So as far as lot coverage goes and stormwater calculations, this would be allowable. It's been reviewed by the city engineer, through the single-family, permit. However, the building official requires some driveways be pulled on separate permits. To my knowledge, I believe that this is gonna meet the requirements of the stormwater.
Any other questions for staff? Thank you. All right, at this point, just for those who are not familiar with our proceedings, we'll go through a following sequence where the applicant and/or any special witness will make presentations. The board will ask questions of the applicant and/or special witness. Then staff can also ask questions of the applicant and/or special witness. Public comment will then follow, and any additional response from staff, any additional response from the applicant following that public comment. And then we'll close public comment, have discussion at the board, and then motions to include the approval or denial of the case based on the specific facts presented. So will the applicant please proceed, and/or any special witness?
Hey, good evening. This is Carol Conley and myself, Chuck Parks, we're partners on this project. She would be the applicant and I'd be the special witness, I guess. But in your packet, I think that Christy provided to you was the statement on why we wanted to proceed with this variance. And it reads, I guess you guys have read it, but it requests a variance of 105 East Pasco, requesting the increase of west driveway to 20 feet or 30 feet instead of 20 feet. We're doing that because obviously we're housing an RV in the garage there, and the existing plan on the driveway was not allowing us enough turning radius to get in there. The RV is 40 foot long. It weighs about 43,000 pounds, and so that concrete is going to have to be built up to cover that. But our stated intent is the variance enables us to back from the public roadway onto the driveway without having it swing and cause damage or go into a neighboring property across the street. With the narrow 20-foot entrance at the property line, even though it has the 3-foot flare on either side, it still doesn't give enough turning radius. Like a standard box truck or delivery truck that you see on all the side streets all week long here in Cocoa Beach is 40 foot long. They have this 2-axle straight truck. Their turning radius is approximately 28 feet to make a swing out into traffic or to back into a site. This motorhome is 40 feet, 3 axles, and it has a turning radius of 38.5 feet. So with that wheelbase set up and it's 3 axles, it really doesn't allow enough room to turn in there. When we originally bought the property with that existing driveway that you saw, it comes right out to the sidewalk, on those corner properties. But we knew squaring up the house on the property and installing the new driveway, we would have to meet certain code. But I feel confident that widening that driveway entrance will allow me to safely negotiate pulling out into traffic and backing in. Because the original concept was that we would come in the first driveway and pull out.
The east one.
And then back straight up towards the garage just to line it up. Because it's only like 20 feet from the house where the driveway starts, and then I'd have to use part of Pasco Lane to get it straight, and then with the angle of departure of that thing coming back in, I should be in good shape with the extra 10 feet. If not, you have to do one of these to try to get in, So that's what we're proposing just to not damage the neighbor's property or get into anybody else's property. If we had that extra 10 feet, we would be more than happy with being able to get in and out of there safely.
So as far as parking the RV in the garage, you would be coming in through the other driveway entrance,
Yes.
driving around and then backing into,
Yes.
not using A1A to get into it.
Right.
And the concern is if you don't have concrete and you get off into the soft areas, even gravel, this is a very heavy RV.
Yeah.
And that is a very sandy lot.
Yeah, it's all sand.
Yes, so.
And another thing, like say, like this time of day, traffic really backs up coming southbound, coming into the light at 520. And believe me, I'll try my best not to be moving the motorhome around at that time of day, because people just shoot off into there and come down Pasco Lane. They'll come up to the line of stop traffic and shoot into the side street, trying to beat the light or
The
whatever.
mailbox was just on the other side of the original driveway. And from the time I purchased it until the time we demoed, that mailbox was hit 3 times. I do not know how somebody pulls off of A1A onto Pasco and hits a mailbox.
Yeah.
So,
But, that's what we're proposing, and, you know, say, we would appreciate your decision on this, and, we thank you very much for hearing.
Can I
our
just
case.
ask one, by looking at the property,
Yes.
it also looks like you have space to also park it parallel to the house.
No, that is a smaller pad to park a trailer on.
So
Like
the RV won't be there then?
No, the RV will not be, it'll be inside, yeah.
What is the foundation? You gonna, with that pad where you're gonna park the trailer around, will that all be concrete or
Yes,
gravel?
yes,
Concrete? Okay.
that'll be concrete as well.
Yeah.
And that'll be behind fence, there's a fence that'll come right off the edge of the structure and go out to the property line, the A1A, and then down the property
Okay.
line.
It's gonna be a first garage for an RV then.
Maybe in Cocoa
Yeah,
Say again, sir?
how wide is the RV?
It's like 108 inches wide, yeah. Well, it's just covering the mirrors, you know what I mean, so, but it's a regulation rate, 102 inch wide, but it's, at the mirrors, it's probably 108, something like that.
Have you looked at all in changing, and I appreciate symmetry, but changing the direction of the driveway so that it's not pointed at the street, it has a little bit more of the angle, so that you could drive past and then back in? Or was that not feasible?
My experience of driving, and I've got quite a bit of it, is driving big equipment, is when we proposed this and we designed this, I wanted to, like I said, come in that way. That way, when I did swing out, I was only on part of Pasco. If I would come in to back straight in, I'd have to come from the beach side and then pull past that driveway, which would put me out into, or very close to the travel lane, the right-hand travel lane of A1A, and then I would have to jack that thing in there. And the roadway is only about 20 foot wide right there at that point. And that doesn't give me my 38 foot of swing that I'm gonna need, you know what I mean? Like I said, if I had that wider opening there, that would definitely solve the problem with getting that thing in there safely.
Any other questions for the applicant?
Now, it looks like the extension or the width request is more to go east than it is west,
Correct.
to give you better access
Yeah.
to get in and out. It's not closer to A1A, it's actually. away
No,
from
no,
A1A.
it would be closer to A1A, but it would still be within the setbacks and so forth for that driveway. Like I say, the intention is not to drive up Pasco past that entrance and then back in. It's to loop around in the driveway and just put part of the bus out into Pasco, enough to angle it and get it back into the garage.
Any other questions from the board?
Yeah, I'm good.
Any questions from staff? All right, any further statements you'd like to make?
Yeah, I mean, if there's no public statement, I just wanted, we both
I'm
appreciate.
sorry. Fair point, yeah.
Yeah.
Are there any public statements?
Okay. That we both appreciate very much the competent professionals that you guys have in place here. We've taken on this task, building this home with a builder, but we've had a lot of input. And Christy was especially helpful to us explaining this process, you know. And that's one thing about living in a community like this, you know, I mean, it's home, you know what I mean? So you just go talk to people like regular folks. You don't have to jump through a bunch of hoops to get to somebody. And that we appreciate very much. And we're beyond pleased with everyone we dealt with, you know, in code and all the inspection people. They've been a great bunch of people that you have employed here. So we also appreciate your time for serving on this board. And we know that takes time away, and we appreciate the service that you provide to the community. And we also would greatly appreciate your consideration on this matter so we can take care of this as soon as possible. Thank you.
Thank you.
Thank you. All right, I'll now close the public hearing and request discussion amongst the board. I will remind us that our focus of our discussion must be fact-based and that we are considering the 6 criteria for approval for this variance that starts on page 1 of our packet, and the other 5 are there. So open it for board discussion.
I'll start. This is the tough part of the job. You know, you want to help out nice people like this, respectful people, their problem, but we do have a strict interpretation of the rules here that we need to follow. It's really our job, and I'm not sure we've really addressed some of these issues here. Most of these problems are the applicant's own doings, unfortunately, by putting a huge house on a small lot, having a huge RV, and it's unfortunate, but that puts me in a little twist there on which way I would go. I just don't feel like most of these 7 or 6 criterion have been addressed.
Do you see it? What's your issue?
Well, I don't think there's a special condition circumstance of the land other than because they built a bigger house. You know, the special conditions, number 3, result from the actions of the applicant. Number 2, there's nobody else that has those rights in the city. If you look around, possibly number 4. You know, that puts me a little odds too. I'm a homeowner. I understand things happen. You want to make a better situation for him, but that's not really our job, is to be Mr. Nice Guy all the time. We're here to follow rules. And this case, I feel, really applies, doesn't, you know, it's not meeting this, just, you know, 1 through 4 in specific standards.
Yeah, I tend to agree. And I'm not sure that it meets number 5 either. Do know that there are, outside of what needs to come to us, administrative variance is possible at the discretion of the staff. But not knowing the exact dimensions, have seen on Azalea a quite large RV that backs in with a standard driveway in a canal street. Number 6, I don't think that they're asking anything that's not in harmony with the general purpose and intent. I don't think it would be injurious, but unfortunately only meeting one of the criteria for me isn't the basis for approving of some type of deviation or variance from the land development code. So Mike, I tend to agree with you.
Oh, my biggest concern was safety and vision impediment, and I think it's kind of answered that. I mean, especially if it's going to be housed inside a garage, it's not going to be out. People's vision getting in and out.
Yeah.
And the other question I had, how do you back it in without destroying all the traffic on A1A or causing a havoc? And it looks like they're using the east entrance to the driveway to do that, so I would feel more comfortable with that.
Yeah, I agree with Ron. I mean, the safety is the main concern, especially with the traffic in this time of the year. And being the fact that on the west side of the property, there's no neighbor. I mean, he's got quite a large piece of property there all the way to the street. So in lieu of that, it's not causing any distress, but I'm more concerned. And I understand, you got a big motorhome
Yeah.
there, and you gotta get it around, and I do respect the fact that they're here because they don't wanna disrupt the neighbors nor the traffic.
And the other thing is, they're accommodated it, they just didn't stick it into the side of the house, they actually built a garage for it, so
Yeah.
it's a pretty big investment.
I've watched and admired their construction up to this
Yeah.
point, and
Yeah.
I think they've done a great job. Any additional discussion?
You know, I mean, it's tough. Not driving an RV myself, I don't know what it's like. I don't know how difficult it is to turn something like that. But that being said, again, it just doesn't follow our rules. I mean, you know, I want to help them as much as I can, but I can't justify it with what we're supposed to do. So
Is it the 30 feet, or is it, I mean,
well, it's just giving something to somebody that's, we have parameters and we have to follow. And if you can't prove out those 6 parameters, we're not supposed to really give it to anyone unless there's a
well, that's why we're here though, to approve variances.
right, following that criteria. That's our,
I normally don't say anything here. I did hear 2 things, that this was, you know, a corner lot with A1A, and that related to safety, and the width of the main street, which I don't know if that street's any different from any other street, but there certainly are not that many lots, you know, along A1A. And I would think that if you were juggling around with a big thing like that, somebody came and turned, that it might, you know, the longer you were out there juggling it around, the more of a safety
Yeah.
issue it might be. So I heard those making it somewhat unique.
And if I hadn't watched a similar situation 10 or 15 times and seen people make do with it, I would tend to agree with you. I just have stood by and watched one of the larger RVs I've seen back in at One Azalea and have no problem doing it. Now, some of it is they've adjusted the angle of the driveway and things like that, but I tend to agree with you. I mean, safety is important. It's just not one of the key factors we have to account for.
I mean, I guess I could negate one, saying that that is a circumstance which exists particular to the land, particular to the landscaping. But again, I'm still stuck on 3 and 2 and 4.
Yeah, and not suggesting any precedents, because we can't on precedents, but to your point, we've looked at end canal properties being wedge-shaped and called that a special circumstance, so,
Right.
yeah, I wouldn't have too much trouble getting to number 1 being a corner lot, being on A1A, so. I could see number 6 and number 1 at that point.
The issue is if we don't approve the 30 feet, does it become more difficult and more, they're definitely bringing in the RV. I mean, they ain't going away, they always built a house for it. Does it make it more dangerous if we don't give them the extension? As far as fiddling around with it and trying to go back and forth and in and out, I mean,
In theory, maybe, but they could also put somebody out there to stop traffic. I mean, there's ways
Well-
around that too.
I'm just gonna take a lot longer to do it, Tim.
And I don't disagree with anything you're saying, I just don't think we have necessarily the liberty to make decisions on that basis. Or on that basis alone.
Well, is there a reason why it was 30 feet and not 24 feet or 28 feet or 25 feet?
If you're asking me, yes, it was because of the turning radius being such a big turning radius. It's 30, I got the calculations right off the manufacturer, and it was 38.5 foot. But actually using part of Pasco to make that final back into there gave
should have had a variance for an RV garage.
We thought, I have never done any building here, and I just assumed when we got the plans approved for the home, that having the driveway to accommodate the RV wouldn't be an issue. So I just was not aware of that fact,
And that's why we're here.
and that's why we're here.
And the builder told us this is what you're stuck with, and we were like, oh, wait a minute, you know,
Yeah,
what's our avenues, and then we just reached out to the city, and they, showed us how the variance process works.
Any further discussion?
I know there's some reluctance on your side, but at this point in the situation and the building, I believe if we don't give them the variance, we're causing ourselves more of a hassle and a safety issue than if we did.
Fair.
I agree.
At the same time, we could be opening up ourselves to problems later with other people.
Well, I think everything's individual.
It is, correct.
That's supposed to
Yeah,
be.
No precedence. Any motions? You have sample motions in our packet, the approve and the deny. And if you make a motion, please cite the inclusion of the conditions or any additional conditions.
Again, it's a tough spot to be in. You know,
And as a chairman, I can't make the motion, correct?
You can hand it to someone else and,
Well,
And
we
then-
can't take a vote until there's a motion, right?
A
Correct.
motion and a second.
All right.
But we
You
can
can-
take
you
the
can
time
hand the
to
gavel to somebody
adjudicate it.
else.
Sure.
and then you can make a motion if you choose to.
Well, I'll go. In case of number PZ-23-4, I move to adopt the findings in the staff report and the testimony given and approve a variance to Cocoa Beach Land Development Code, section 3-09, Q.4, to allow a west side driveway to be constructed with an opening of 30 feet instead of the required maximum of 20 feet with the following conditions. The variance applies to the construction of a residential driveway and does not apply to any other type of construction. All other setback and construction requirements shall be within the city requirements. The applicant must apply for a building permit within 2 years of the date of this decision, or the variance will expire.
Is there a second?
Is there a point 4 I need to read?
Yes, it's on the next page.
Yeah, this variance approval does not grant the applicant an undeniable right to a building permit. All other federal, state, and local regulations remain in full force and effect.
Is there a second?
I second that.
You take the vote?
All right, Mr. Cole on the vote to approve, how do you?
Approve.
Yes. Mr. Boger,
Approved.
Mr. Haynes, or Mr. Goldberg,
Can you come back to me?
Mr. Jackson,
No, deny.
Mr. Goldberg.
No.
And unfortunately, to have completion, we've actually got to have a motion to deny to close the case.
How does that work though? We get to vote on that motion, right?
Correct.
There's
There's
still
got to be a
two,
motion.
And it will be a 2-2. But the motion to, because it takes 4, so it lost by 2 votes.
You need
So
unanimous, right,
it
to
was,
approve?
Huh?
We
You
needed-
need-
Unanimous.
Because there are only
Even
four
if there was
people.
5, we needed
If
it.
there were 5, it would need to be 4 people.
4-1.
Oh, okay.
Yeah.
Yeah, because it takes 4 to approve.
But to be able to close this, I think,
But so if we motion, we still gotta take a vote on the denial though, right?
right, but I think
Still.
one person effectively is,
Effectively denies it, so,
a motion and a
No.
second clears it, so I think I do have to pass the gavel.
So what do you want me to do?
okay.
It's a motion
Thank
denied,
you.
I guess.
In case number PZ 23-4, I move to deny the variance request due to the fact that the applicant has not satisfactorily met all standards required by the LDC section 4-39D to grant the variance that have been met. The specific standards that I do not believe have been met are 2, 3, 4, and 5.
I'll second that.
Just wanted to do that.
There you go. Will you call the vote?
Motion in the affirmative to deny, Mr. Jackson,
Affirmative.
Mr. Cole.
Pardon me, say it again, please.
Motion in the affirmative to deny. So if you are voting to deny, you would say yes or
No.
Mr. Bogert,
No.
Mr. Goldberg.
Affirmative.
Okay, that will be what will be on the order.
All right. Then we will open for public comment. Any comments not associated with this case?
Just like to thank you guys again for your service and your time and,
Thank you.
what you've done for the city, we appreciate it.
Well, thank you. Appreciate your understanding.
Any staff reports?
There are no staff reports this evening.
Any member reports? All right, we are adjourned.